Basically, game developers' sole goal is to guide players through the game the correct way. You know, like funneling you towards the intended route. Slowly introducing mechanics through level themes and moles. In a perfect world, this would all fall into place, but they don't account for the dumbass kids that do the complete opposite of what you want them to do. Your mom didn't rent this from Blockbuster for no reason. You only have 3 more days left of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But nope, sometimes you gotta just drink the whole game in your own slow, twisted way. Like this. Stupid bendy straws. So yeah, although being good at games is great, playing the game wrong is alright too.
So in the spirit of this video, I'm going to edit and do everything wrong. Now that the scene is set, let's celebrate playing games wrong.
Alright, I'll just edit normally. So the idea that really kicked off this video in my head was thinking about Mario Kart 64. I have a lot of memories driving on the tracks the wrong way. And I don't know why, but this makes me feel a certain... Because constantly when you're playing this game, it's all about going around the turns, avoiding getting off the track, doing your drift. You're constantly driving down the jungle shaft without time to smell DK's nuts. So I would turn on time trials and just drive down some of these tracks slowly, the opposite direction, and it really puts a different perspective in your mind about these places. It was so cool, you could drive around Peach's castle. I know it's here for the award ceremony, but just doing it on your free time. I did this a lot in Mario Kart Double Dash too, because that game also has a lot of areas that there's no point in going to them in a race, but you can just go to them and check out the scenery. Everything the light touches, Diddy, that is yours. That is your land. Now, this isn't the only game I went out of my way to play wrong. When you're a kid, you have a limited library of games, so you can bet your ass you're gonna try and squeeze every hour out of those games that you can. Kirby's Air Ride was a pretty small game, but it had city trials, so shut the fuck up. I remember me and my sister would live out our city trial life. We'd hop off our air rides and just be 2 Kirbys walking around the city. We'd have air ride wars, where we'd have all these air rides, split them in half, and then try to steal them from one another. Also, you can just walk around the city with Kirby and his infinite jumps. You can just go see wherever you want. Living in the city, you know you have to survive. Speaking of racing, driving games, Grand Theft Auto Bowling. I love this game. I really need to do a full video on it, but I digress. Obviously, you're supposed to be doing crimes, missions. Most fun I actually had in this game was trading the controller with friends, trying to get to 6 stars before you died. This led us to interesting areas where you could get your stars up without the cops finding you, or you could funnel cops into one area so you could handle them. It makes for hours of fun with people who have an itch to kill cousins. I think one of the funniest discoveries a friend showed me was if you push these taxi cabs and you keep pushing them, you just have a horde of taxi cab drivers chasing after you. What gets even more funny is if you try to get into fights with them and you make them hit the other people, you can just start a street brawl. Pedestrians also have weird AI, and so do the objects in this game. Hey, okay, I'll go left, you go, okay, and I meant my left, you're right, Now, one of the best glitches, oversights, whatever you call it, was the swing set glitch. Playing with friends trying to get yourself to launch the furthest is the funnest, most milkiest experience. You try with different cars or motorcycles, and it gets to be really fun. Sometimes you land on buildings, other times you land on...
Oh my god, how could I forget? We totally skimmed past one of the most iconic landmark 3D platformers in all of gaming. The Emperor's New Groove for PC.
You see, there are these roller coasters in Yzma's lab where Kuzco and Pacha have to ride on them and make sure to navigate so they don't fall off. Eventually, though, there are these reversal panels where it makes it very hard to try and navigate on these tracks. So what me and my genius sisters did was turn the keyboard around entirely. Okay, but really, Super Mario 64. Jesus, stop winking at me! This game has a smorgasbord of different types of challenges, ways to play that people have created over the years. One of the most recent ones I've heard of was the pizza delivery game by Swanky Box. Where you have this box at the beginning of the Bob-omb battlefield and have to shimmy your way all the way up to the top where that King Bob-omb is. Of course, it's not easy because Mario can't really move all that much while he's holding this box. Looks like he has to take a shit. But like I said, there are so many dumb little challenges people have done in this game. A more popular one is the Green Demon Challenge. The cool little quirk about this game is if you get a 1-up while it's on a tree or a pole, it follows you so you can collect the 1-up pretty easily. Except the goal of this challenge is to avoid that 1-up. You must collect the 8 red coins and the star to beat the challenge, which, if you know it, are scattered across entire levels. And with how it locks on, it turns something that should be a relief into something that's just so anxiety-ridden. And you can do this challenge over and over again, considering you get a 1-up if you fail. Or you just die if you're trash. And of course, I guess speedrunning fits into this, but that's a whole other can of wigglers. But that's not really about playing the game wrong. Most of the time, speedrunning gave birth to challenges in games, where you'd play the game as you should, except you reduce the abilities or things you can do within the game. One of the most popular ones is the No A Button Challenge in Super Mario 64. And for all of you that don't know, or as I like to call them, people with lives, it really just makes sense from the title. No A Button. You don't jump. And this has just given birth to just backwards means in order to get stuff. You want to show dedication, try spending days in a single level. Doing this challenge, Panon actually found a lot of hidden exploits within Mario 64 that, you wouldn't have been able to find, because who the hell would? The challenges don't stop there either. Zelda has a swordless and 3 heart run, where you don't collect any heart containers in those boss rooms. Those things that fill you up, you're like, if you like don't even think about it. That's right, only 3. You go through the game with nothing. And for people who like Pokemon, or as I like to call them, people who eat trash, there's a twist on playing Pokemon called the Nuzlocke Challenge. Basically, the rules boil down to you picking the first Pokemon you encounter in an area and having them in your party forever. Now, if they die... Honestly, with how tight this challenge is, it makes me consider playing Pokemon in this way before playing and completing any of the games. Yeah, a lot of you didn't watch that video, did you?
Obviously, these are just limited to whatever backwards imagination I have. But some of my lovely patrons also gave forth some of their ideas that they made up when they were kids. Verbify and Universal Wasabi played The Floor is Lava in Super Mario Sunshine, and I can totally see it. You just jump across all of the buildings in Delfino Plaza, not touching the ground until you lose. The Barmy Brit brings up a cool idea on Pokemon called the Hobo Run, where you don't buy anything from shops and you only accept Pokemon as gifts. So you basically have to go through the game limiting almost everything, which would be very hard.
There's Mike Myers in Call of Duty, where one person on one team only wields a knife and everyone else on another team tries to hide from the killer.
And a lot of you mentioned Super Smash Bros. And the different types of game variations you can do by changing up the game mode, such as a stamina mode to replicate Street Fighter, or doing RPG battles where you take turns hitting your opponent.
Then there are Pokemon battles, where you can only attack your opponents with Pokeballs. Or competitive Super Smash Bros. In general. The challenges in player-made modes go on and on. They're super fun. But there's something about molding a game into something else, given the resources you have, is something I'll never get tired of. I think the crowning jewels of my examples are from Tony Hawk, Pro Skater. Not only were these games pioneers of the gaming industry with their rich gameplay and their lush storylines, but you could also build skate parks to let your heart's creativity flourish. Now, I made a bunch of these. There's just something about making levels that gets me going. But eventually, I made too many wild skate parks to the point where I thought I could make a completely different game altogether. Enter the Tony Hawklet. That's right, I turned it into a platformer, where you'd have to alternate between onboard and offboard sections using grinding and wall running, where if you fall into water or a pit, that means you must respawn. Because this game was not designed to be made as a platformer, it was mega challenging. But it did get me thinking, what if they made a Tony Hawk Pro Skater-like game, except it wasn't just about doing tricks? What? I logged onto Twitter and saw this. This fool has the gall to mix Tony Hawk Pro Skater with Doom? Where do I put my money? Now this may just be a proof of concept from an indie game dev and may not go anywhere, but it really stuck with me because it shows that an idea from another game flourished into another idea, where you can make a game restricting the resources they give you in a game to make something completely different. And don't think this has never happened. One of the biggest examples was from Halo 2. Players made this mode called Zombies, where the green team would only have a sword, and when they killed a player, you'd have to switch over to that green team and also use swords, until there was only one player remaining. This was actually put into Halo 3. It actually became its own thing, because of players. You ever hear the saying, limitation is the mother of creativity?
Yeah, sounds like an excuse for lazy people.
Point is, play what you want to play and maybe it'll be a game one day. Okay, goodbye. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'm sorry for the lack of videos. If you're interested in any of the challenges, I have links in the description to each of them. And finally, thank you to all my patrons for supporting me, and thank you for consistently being patient with me. Next month is a Halloween month, and I'm actually gonna do some scary videos, so get your skeletons ready, and I'll see you on the flip side.